We all love a good scare, right? But finding the best place to watch a thrilling movie or show can be scary enough. Enter stage left today's sponsor, Shudder, the world's premier streaming service that stays spooky 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. To try Shudder for free for 30 days, go to Shudder.com and use the promo code CinemaSins to get started. Movie opens on 1 minute and 39 seconds of traffic.
They will say that I have shed innocent blood.
Candyman narration. This looks less like a swarm of bees and way more like a giant Etch-a-Sketch shot its wad all over the city of Chicago.
Clara was babysitting for the Johnsons, and Billy pulls up on his motorcycle.
No, wait, I said that wrong. Clara was sitting on Billy's Johnson while he was motorboating, and he forgot to pull out, and they had a baby. Damn it, I hate it when I mess up those small details. Also, babysitters in horror movies invite dudes over for sex cliché.
She decides that tonight's the night that she's gonna give Billy what she never gave to Michael.
Have you ever heard of Candyman?
She's gonna give Billy a dissertation on an urban legend? It wasn't as exciting as what I thought she was gonna give him. Discount Sam Raimi.
Have you ever heard of Candyman?
Roll credits.
If you look in the mirror and you say his name 5 times, he'll appear behind you, breathing down your neck.
I didn't come here for a threesome, but I'm willing to try anything with a babysitter in a strange house at least once.
Candyman.
Wait, why does her one mention of Candyman count? Billy said it 4 times, then she cut him off and told him to go downstairs. Shouldn't this be a new series?
What he saw turned his hair white from shock.
Scene does not contain a white-haired Ted Raimi. Are college classrooms and movies almost exclusively these arena-style spaces? Doesn't anyone ever have class in a normal-sized room? And this is like a folklore class.
That's lunch.
That's lunch? That's lunch? At a college? I'll have my Hot Pockets and Doritos when I goddamn well please, Professor.
So you want to tell me about this girl?
And I guess we're not waiting till she's left the lecture hall to talk about her.
You promised you wouldn't do the Urban Legends lecture until next semester. You knew that Bernadette and I were gathering data from the freshmen, so why did you have to ruin it?
This argument about when Trevor was supposed to teach about urban legends is dumb and feels manufactured to show that they have marital problems. Why does it matter if Helen's Candyman thesis is included in the urban legends lecture? It can always be included next year, or Trevor can circle back on it, can't he? The success of the thesis isn't contingent on whether this scamp Trevor teaches it, is it? Also, wait, Bernadette and Helen were interviewing college students? Because this is not the hallway of a college, it's the hallway of a high school. They are f***ing walkers.
Honey, you're my wife and I love you dearly, but you can't expect me to hold up their education while the two of you complete your thesis.
Makes sense. How could that classroom of students ever make it in the business sector if they aren't taught that alligators in the sewer stories are bullshit?
Can I talk to your friend?
Sure. Kitty?
She's conveniently mopping right outside. We were just waiting for the day we could walk into one of these classrooms right as someone was playing a tape recording about Candyman. It's the only reason we've been hanging around working this shitty job.
So she called 911 again, and they still didn't believe her.
Wait, this woman had a chance to call 911 twice? What kind of supernatural killer who shows up magically after you say his name 5 times is this guy? It's the 90s, so therefore the article underneath the headline is some vague nonsense. Many persons feel at this stage that some legal action is forthcoming. When we figure out who, when, where, why, and how, we'll fill in the rest of the article with details that make this an actual story. Then someone bothers to write a real paragraph about this murder, but then the most boring person ever writes the second paragraph, lulling this newspaper's editor to sleep and causing him to approve the story, because after all, there are deadlines.
No, the apartment's vacant.
So it's totally cool for me to push this other apartment's medicine cabinet to the ground, potentially smashing it, since nobody lives over there. Until someone is living in the apartment, this is nobody's property.
You don't believe all that nonsense anyway, do you? I don't. You?
So much to unpack. First, Helen's big discovery is based solely on the fact that she just happens to live in the building that was supposed to be the original Cabrini Green. Second, when they built the actual Cabrini Green, they chose to keep the back-to-back mirror setup with no wall between them the exact same. And third, the Ruthie Jean murder just happened to occur right around the time Helen and Bernadette started writing their thesis, and it ties directly into Candyman. But in the end, does Helen's discovery even matter? Sure, they know they can enter Ruthie Jean's old apartment and go through the mirror, but is Candyman's living space inaccessible unless you go through the other apartment?
Oh, you chicken! You have to do it 5 times.
Based solely on the Clara Billy prologue, you don't. And if we're going by that scene, then technically Helen and Bernadette just combined for 9 Candymans. One more, and I think his sibling sweet sister shows up.
She's sweet. She's deadly. She's bad for your teeth.
Also, when Clara said Candyman for the 5th time, he immediately showed up. So why isn't he doing the same for Helen?
Oh, Trevor.
Trevor strikes again. This movie is 17% overhead shots of cars driving to a Discount Omen score. I'm gonna guess no matter how run down this place is, it wouldn't have a door that sounds like a gunshot when it's open, unless it's a fire exit with an emergency bar on it. Doesn't even appear to be the type of door that sticks when you try to open it. It's a nonsensical jump scare.
It's all right, there's nothing to see.
The real question is, how are they seeing anything? This room was pitch black when she entered, and there doesn't appear to be any windows or any other light source.
There's nobody in there. Okay.
Really? That's all that Bernadette needed for Helen to sell her on shimmying through the mirror that is probably laced with mold and possibly gonorrhea? Helen and Bernadette are strong and smart characters, unless the movie decides they shouldn't be. Also, this is a weird thing the movie never explains. Why would Candyman need to come through the mirror to kill anyone? Especially when it took so long that Ruthie Jean was able to call the cops twice. Later, a guy posing as Candyman gets arrested, and the cops are pretty sure that he killed Ruthie Jean, but why would he go through the mirror? The movie is never clear on any of this stuff. Candyman either appears in the mirror, or he comes out of the mirror, or he just randomly shows up in a parking garage when people don't believe in him anymore. All through this sequence, we see Helen taking pictures of the holes in the apartment, and I guess whatever's on the other side of the hole. It's an empty apartment where something bad happened a long time ago. What are these pictures going to do for your thesis? Wouldn't you like to walk around and find something interesting first? Then her camera runs out of film after she takes not one, not two, but 3 pictures of the same thing just before she sees the Candyman mural on the wall that is 500 times more interesting than anything she's snapped so far. God damn it. This is a mesmerizing movie to look at. And shots like this just remind me how much it sucks that Bernard Rose didn't stay on the director it list, because he can direct the out of a movie. It's as if somebody knew that a couple of women working on an urban legend thesis would be coming by, and so they wanted to plant some fun Easter eggs so the trip wouldn't be a waste. A creepy baby doll randomly placed in a scene in a horror movie that has nothing to do with baby dolls cliche.
Bernadette! Sorry.
Under what circumstance except life and death would you ever address your friend this way? Ah, sudden Vanessa, I'm not the one in the Eraser Williams.
They ain't never gonna catch him. Candyman.
And that's how that conversation ended. I guess there weren't any follow-up questions after that. Basically just confirmation of everything they've already heard. Good enough for me.
They thought it was rude to point.
I have zero clue what this story Purcell is telling is about, but I can tell from these couple of seconds it's not worth the pity laugh Trevor is giving it. It was the early 90s, so public smoking was a thing, but this movie seems to put it in every scene, like the whole production was funded by Philip Morris.
That's precisely the moment at which I can be of greatest assistance. Before you disappear down a path to academic Bolivia.
College professors.
Well, if you're after the hook man, Helen, you really must read the paper I wrote about him 10 years ago.
During her research, how did Helen miss this guy's paper on Candyman? Like, she was able to figure out her apartment building was built the same way that the building in Cabrini Green was built. That's how far her research has taken her, but somehow she missed that.
The legend first appeared in 1890.
Douche position.
Listen, Jake, maybe you can help me out. I wanted to find out about that woman who got killed.
Yeah, that seems like a totally appropriate avenue to explore with a kid.
You know, it's okay to talk to me, Jake, because I'm not a cop.
But you are a strange person he's never laid eyes on before, so that's almost worse.
I can't say nothing. A Candyman'll get me.
I remember once back in 1994 when a few cops came up to me and asked me about some murders. And being the very street smart person that I am, I said, I can't say, or else OJ will get me. I was very happy that I didn't open my big fat mouth. Snitches get stitches.
But I don't scare too easy either, Jake.
She's not lying. By 1992, Virginia Madsen had already been involved in a slam dance, attended Zombie High, found out all about the quickening in Highlander 2, had sophomore sex with Don Johnson in the hot spot, and was hot to trot with Bobcat Goldthwait and a horse.
They found it floating in a toilet. Can't fix that. Better off dead.
Well, I don't know. They were able to sew John Wayne Bobbitt back up, and his was thrown into a field somewhere. Dude even ended up doing porn. Are these bees supposed to be Candyman? If so, why does he live in a toilet? And if they're really just bees, why do they live in a toilet? Candyman has lots of things to be pissed off about in this movie, but I don't think he ever thought he'd be the victim of identity theft.
We're very lucky to be alive in this life.
Yeah, why didn't the fake Candyman kill her? Most of the time, movies will make it so that the gang gets scared of the police sirens or the crow shows up, but in this case, there was absolutely no reason not to kill her.
Oh, we knew everything about him. Only reason why we didn't bring him in before because we couldn't find anyone to testify.
But all they have is Helen testifying about him assaulting her. She can't testify to the murder of Ruthie Jean or the boy because she wasn't there to witness those crimes. Look, I like Xander Berkeley a lot, but I don't understand the point of his character. He's a bad husband who's probably cheating on Helen with one of his students, but Helen's marriage doesn't seem to be a big deal in this movie. It doesn't have much to do with what makes her tick, so there isn't much of a reason for him to be in this movie. And it's tiresome watching his boredom with married life in every scene he's in.
Welcome back.
So Helen and Bernie reunite at the college, then Bernie gives Helen the pictures she thought were destroyed, and then they part ways. So why did they not reconnect earlier? Their whole thing is that they're working on a thesis together, so it's impossible that they wait until the end of the day to talk to each other.
2 people get brutally murdered and the cops do nothing. Or a white woman goes in there and gets attacked, and they lock the place down.
It's kind of amazing how socially conscious this movie is. The dialogue about injustice is plainly in its text. But since there's nobody yelling it or screaming it may slip past a lot of people. I mean, there hasn't been much Candyman in this movie called Candyman, but it certainly touches on another kind of boogeyman that plagues our world. There's absolutely nothing that Helen took pictures of that is this interesting that would make her want to whip these slides out to try and examine them in the low light of a parking garage. Also, this is the emptiest university parking garage I've ever seen. Like, this makes me wonder why Bernie and Helen didn't park on the main level if free spaces are that available. It takes nearly 44 minutes for this movie to properly Candyman. We're looking at 2 weeks minimum since Helen and Bernadette stood in front of the mirror. Why is Candyman just coming to Helen now? It's a valid question that the movie never bothers to answer. And yes, he will say he has to shed innocent blood because she discredited his legend, but that still doesn't explain why he didn't show up the night she called him and kill her then. She wouldn't have been able to discredit the legend. She would have given it more weight by turning up in a bathroom gutted. And look, there is no way we are getting through this movie without giving a sin-off for one of the coolest horror film villains. Even in the 2 rather terrible sequels, Tony Todd gives his all, and he's f***ing both frightening and badass in this role.
So now I must shed innocent blood.
I mean, it came out 3 weeks later, but Candyman did in fact destroy innocent blood at the box office, so I guess this line plays. Yet another case where people at murder scenes decide to pick up incriminating weapons because the pull of going to jail for the rest of your life is so damn strong.
Trevor, are you there? Pick up.
F***ing Trevor. Yep, that's about how interesting these pictures are. She's basically fast-forwarding through all this. This is the 1990s version of Skip. So Helen turns away from her bathroom mirror, and we can see a dining room table and a wall behind her. But earlier, when she pushed the other room's mirror out, we could see a door at the end of the other apartment. These cookie-cutter places usually have the same rooms throughout the building, so why wasn't that a mirror image of Helen's apartment?
I have the child. Allow me to take you, or he will die in your place.
Why does she have to give permission? In a minute, Bernie's going to walk into the apartment and you're just going to kill her. So why this exchange? Why all the effort in framing Helen for kidnapping, animal cruelty, and Bernie's murder? The bad news is that Bernie is going to meet her untimely end here. The great news is that this is going to be awesome for the thesis.
Trevor!
No, Helen, don't say Trevor's name 5 times or he'll appear and kill this movie's momentum.
Trevor!
See?
Trevor!
Hey. Wait, they had Trevor just hanging out in the living room with them, smoking a cigarette 6 feet away from Bernadette's mutilated corpse? I mean, I realize they feel like this is a slam dunk case, but you still have to contain the crime scene, right?
Why do you want to live? If you would learn just a little from me, you would not beg to live.
Back to this ask for permission bullshit. Does this mean you have to ask Candyman to kill you? Because Clara sure as didn't ask for that at the beginning of the movie. Even if we want to take into account that was a story being told by a third party, the movie is clearly still setting up some guidelines with that sequence that the rest of the movie hasn't bothered to follow. Maybe he's got a thing for Helen like Dracula had for Mina Harker and is choosing to f*** around with her a little bit. I guess I could buy that, but I'm still sinning it. So this baby has been here, what, a couple of days? 36 hours minimum for sure. Is Candyman feeding him and changing his diapers? I would give all the sins back if we had one scene of Candyman holding the baby and feeding him a bottle of milk, with the hook hand, of course. Sad scene and all. Oh no, Helen might go away for life for murder she didn't commit, blah blah blah. But what I really want to know is, after being harassed twice by Candyman and seeing her best friend filleted in her living room, why isn't her hair white? That is the one commonality in all the Candyman stories, but Helen still has her beautiful, perfectly styled Virginia Madsen hairdo rocking. It's a hair of lies.
Where are you going?
And are you really leaving her wearing that bloody shirt? I get that they think she's a murderer and her and all, but that's still a little messed up. I mean, wouldn't you at the very least need to process the shirt and make sure the blood matches Bernadette? Or, do any kind of police work?
Allow me at least to kiss.
Flirting. For the record, I mentioned Candyman would have to be giving the baby a bottle. I said nothing about sucking on his finger. So you're not getting your sins back movie, and you're actually getting an extra one for trying to test me.
Where are we going?
We're going to Disneyland.
Lying to your patients about Disneyland.
Now for the past month.
Month?
I'm confused too, Helen. Do they actually have a hairstylist on hand to make sure your hair stays trimmed and in the same style for your stay there? That's pretty sweet.
I can prove it.
How?
I can call him.
Oh, and look, there's a mirror right here, randomly, in the middle of the office. Also, how does she know he'll show up? The last time, it took a couple weeks for him to appear in the parking garage.
You're mine now.
You mean, just now? Why? Can Candyman explain the rules? Asshole showed up out of the goddamn thin air and now he has to smash a window to escape. That's just a dick move, dude. You guys think Helen is a psychopathic murderer and the alarm is going off because of something happening next door, but sure, just let Helen in. What could possibly go wrong? Even dressed up as a nurse, I have no idea how she would have gotten out of there. A state mental facility would have entrance and exit protocols. She couldn't have bypassed that easily. And they were in the middle of searching for an escaped patient who they think murdered one of the doctors. That would have been on lockdown.
Please be home, Trevor. Please be home.
Yeah, I sure hope Trevor's home. What a rock that guy's been the whole movie. I gotta say, probably one of the top 3 worst ways to find out that your husband is cheating on you is when you walk in on him and his mistress redecorating. Just go ahead and call the hospital scene lasts for all of the some time. Man, now that she's invited to Candyman's lair, it'd be nice if he showed her the secret way in and didn't make her climb through all these wall holes. By the way, why did he keep all these wall holes? Why didn't he also knock out the bottom part of the wall to make a doorway? Holy that's a ton of unattended candles. How is this building not burned down yet? So dude just hangs out here and sleeps? I thought he was like a genie, and he only came out of hiding whenever he was called. How has no one else wandered into his crib? Also, it's very odd that the supernatural killer from the 19th century ever needs to sleep.
We shall die together in front of their very eyes.
But isn't Candyman already dead? I can see why this movie has its fans. It's an interesting visual take on the creation of an urban legend. It's also quite scary at times. Gives us a formidable horror movie villain, and has 2 really strong performances at the heart of it, but it's also confusing as I know Candyman died because of a massive amount of bee stings, but I don't understand why that turned him into a ghost that's like 25% bee. Also, the bees are cool and all, but it kind of makes you wonder why he's called Candyman. And yeah, they smeared honey all over his body, so he was sweet or whatever, but that seems to be even more of a reason to call him Bee-Man or Honey-Man. It also makes you wonder what kind of weird-ass fetishes the racist killers were into. Who even thinks to smear honey on someone unless you've done it to yourself a time or two?
It was always you, Helen. It was always you.
So this is like a Mina Harker thing. So Candyman is Dracula? Candyman? Candula? Sure, due to the magic of movies, we can see a close-up of the hook as it goes down into a mound of garbage, but I highly doubt that this kid can see the hook. And because he's so certain of this, he's able to get all the neighborhood kids together to start a massive bonfire outside. Also, Candyman started terrorizing Helen because nobody believed in him anymore. I'd say a kid who barely sees a hook, who is able to get the entire block to believe he's inside a palace of worn mattresses, constitutes an unwavering belief, right? But if she could hear the baby from all the way up on a higher floor in the apartment building, how can these people coming to start the bonfire not hear it? They're right there. Wouldn't all those bees he French kissed into her mouth take care of silencing her? Are we just going to forget that even happened? I know! It's so strange that the guy who has no compunction about murdering people would be such a dishonest prick.
Let me go.
I cannot. We are already dead.
Why would Helen's death here give her immortal life? This is not the same kind of death he experienced. And I guess he couldn't just straight up murder her himself, because something, they can't spend eternity together if he did that, but this is kind of a weird loophole, right? And considering the plan requires a kid to wake up in the middle of the night and barely see a hook and inspire all of Cabrini Green to start this bonfire, means that the plan had a lot of logical hurdles to clear for it to work. Bringing Stacy to your wife's funeral. Showing up late to a funeral. Okay, so the Cabrini Green residents are paying their respects, but how did they know what happened? All they know is that a person suspected of murder and kidnapping was inside a pile of garbage when they set fire to it. They don't know she was innocent, even if they somehow found Candyman's body in the rubble. Yes, she emerged from the flames holding the kid, but how did they know she wasn't keeping the kid there? Then I thought maybe they aren't paying their respects. Maybe they think she's the new Candyman, to which I say, why would you want to go to her funeral? Man, I'd have removed a lot of sins, or maybe added a lot of sins. Not sure. If Cinderella's don't know what you got till it's gone play during this scene. Yeah, saying Helen 5 times doesn't have quite the same ring to it, does it? The story you tell your kids to scare them? Let me tell you about a scary killer who goes by the name of Helen. Also, I don't quite understand why she's been given these powers. Maybe it was because her death was unjust. Maybe bees are really magic. But it seems there'd be more candy people if that was the case.
Oh, no, not the bees! Not the bees!
Ah, you startled me. I didn't expect you, but since you're here, I might as well return the favor for scaring me by telling you about Shudder, the best streaming service in the world for horror. This year, Shudder is going all out by turning the normal 31 days of Halloween into the 61 days of Halloween, a 2-month celebration of their favorite season, featuring weekly original and exclusive movie premieres. You like H.P. Lovecraft's Color Out of Space, starring Nicolas Cage? It's on Shudder. The second season of AMC's Nosferatu? Shudder got it. My Little Pony? Friendship is Magic? No! Why would they have that? It's exclusively horror content. Anyway, with Shudder, you get one of the largest and fastest growing human curated selections of thrilling and dangerous entertainment. Basically, it's the Netflix of horror. Sounds cool, right? And if you're looking for a specific recommendation of a movie on Shudder, I recommend One Cut of the Dead. To say any more about it would be to spoil the fun that lies ahead of you. So follow the link in the description to get the best in horror through Shudder. Go to Shudder.com and use promo code CinemaSins to try Shudder for free for 30 days. The content is scary, but not the commitment. See what I did there? Get down to that description and try Shudder today.
If you look in the mirror and you say his name 5 times, he'll appear behind you, breathing down your neck.
You had me at hello.
I like how wine continues to evolve. Like if I opened a bottle of wine today, it would taste different than if I'd opened it on any other day.
Candyman.
There happens to be a lot about me that you don't know, Mr. Smarty Man.
What's your name? Jake?
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Do you know anything about that? Her name was Ruthie Jean.
I see nothing. I know nothing.
Can't fix that. Better off dead.
Now, that's a real shame when folks be throwing away a perfectly good white boy like that.
Number 4, step forward and set a line.
Hand me the keys, you f***ing sucker.
Allow me at least a kiss.
Wanna suck face.
The night you were admitted.
You think you're safe and alive? You're already dead. Everybody, you're dead already.
What are you eating here?
You release the dogs or the bees, or the dogs with bees in their mouth, and when they bark, they shoot bees at you?